Welcome to Reading the Green, a golf and fantasy sports show. My name is Mike with Kyle and Jordan on Tuesday, April 8th. This is episode 132.
Sorry, Mike. 50 seconds in, the U.S. women have already scored in the soccer game.
That was enough to interrupt the introduction. This is the Masters week. And Jordan, tell us, what are we watching?
You know, the hockey game is at intermission, so we turned on the women's national team. You have two soccer fans here.
It's like a friendly? What is this?
There's never a friendly match when it's two women's teams playing each other.
I had such a good intro teed up for Masters week.
Sorry,
I'm going to give you a chance just to answer the question.
You want to start over?
No, I don't want to start over.
Should we undo it?
Is this? This is the question I was going to ask. I know the answer is no now, because there's USA women's soccer versus Brazil on TV. Is this the best week of the year? Interpret that how you want. Is this the best week of the year?
For golf, yes. Maybe all of sports? Because you have the NCAA, overall week, you've got the NCAA championship game.
Yep, which was a great
Monday night, and now Masters. It might be the best sports week of the year.
That's a decent take. We're pushing for the playoffs in hockey and NBA. Baseball started for those baseball fans. I would say no, it's not the greatest week this year. I'm very excited, but this is probably a bias of living in Minnesota. If we played somewhere where we could play golf this week, realistically,
I have a tee time at 12:30 on Saturday. So yes, it is the best sports week of the year.
I was actually going to ask, do you think that being able to play golf this week would enhance your Masters week?
For sure.
Okay.
If something happens tomorrow, or for some reason I don't have to work tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to hit golf balls somewhere.
I am definitely planning on getting out hopefully this weekend as well if we're open. But the reason I asked was because I growing up in a northern state like this, I really appreciate this week as being like the official start of the golf season.
Yeah.
And for most golf seasons in Minnesota, golf courses are not open, or you're not really getting out this week. And so it's just that anticipation just builds. You're watching the most beautiful place in the world on TV, and you're just itching to go play on anything that is like a fraction of as good as Augusta. And so, and in my family, this is the kickoff of an enormous birthday month for 4 members of my family. And so this week there's always a couple of birthdays too. So it just feels like incredibly celebratory. And I don't know, I'm just excited. You get such great storytelling Thursday through Wednesday through Sunday. You know that no matter what happens on Sunday afternoon, you're going to have A+ sports content.
I mean, I'm pumped for the Masters and the content around the week. I got the shirt on. I'm ready to go. I'm going big in the DFS streets this week. So I'm excited on multiple levels. I feel like your take is solid, especially with the connection for you on a family perspective. And when it comes to weather up here, it's so hit or miss too. How many times Masters weather, you can be on a patio and it's great, or it can be snowing. You never know what you're gonna get.
Fortunately, I don't think it's snowing here.
It's gonna be a great weekend.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be nice.
70s Sunday, upper 60s.
Yeah. Your turf conditions at the golf course, considering we were below freezing this morning still.
It's gonna be interesting.
We're gonna be interesting.
Yes.
Well,
I was actually surprised that they opened it that quickly, because the frost.
It was frost this morning.
It's still cold, very cold in the morning. The pond had ice on it. So
it's definitely going to be, I guess, the read on it this week, and we'll get to the Augusta preview. It's going to be a little wet down in Augusta, so it'll be interesting, Kyle, if you got any takes on weather.
I need an over under on how many times the broadcasters mention that the greens have a drainage system that sucks the water out from it.
The sub-air.
I've already heard it twice. And it's Tuesday.
Well, it's been 5 weeks since we last potted. We previewed the Players Championship, which means we've had 4 event results since our last podcast. And so I want to just do a very quick rundown of what's happened in PGA Tour golf since Players Championship. So going all the way back to mid-March. Thoughts on the Monday finish at TPC Sawgrass? You remember that? The ultimate JJ Spawn ejection. What was he down? 3-hole playoff. He was down 4 strokes after 2 holes.
You know, a tough win. He thought he had a perfect 8-iron, right? He said but yeah, the splashdown. That's just unfortunate.
I mean, there was like 2 outcomes that could have happened on Monday morning, which was, one, he comes up and shocks the world and takes down Rory in some dramatic fashion, and the other was exactly what happened, which he was totally overmatched and played himself out of it immediately.
I didn't foresee a scenario where JJ came out there and won it. I think a lot of people were waiting for Rory to be the one to
lose it.
Yeah.
I think Rory's on a mission this year.
I agree. But it was good to see him get that over the finish line. But if you had that scenario this week, man, those nerves going into Monday would be something on his end.
For sure. So the Valspar Championship follows the Players Championship. Who won the Valspar?
Russell. No, that was API.
I like asking these questions. Victor Jordan.
Hey! Yeah, Victor. Yeah.
Victor Hovland out of nowhere. Honestly, out of nowhere.
I knew you were gonna
rounds before that word. Or wait, after. I was just looking
before and
up.
after.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Like, cut first.
Yeah.
Cool.
I knew you were gonna pop one of these random questions on us, and I started to get ready for it, and then I got distracted, Jordan style. So then I wasn't ready.
Victor Hovland, he took down Justin Thomas. JT made this like run on Sunday. He was rolling in birdies from all over the place, and then he just got a little sideways down the stretch, and then made the ridiculous bogey on 18. But yeah, Vic, I'll be interested to see what your Vic takes are going into Augusta here. But
JT has shown the ability to have some great rounds here recently. I'll say that just at the Players as well.
Yeah. So I think that's 2 interesting guys to think about going into Augusta that 3 weeks ago were playing some pretty good golf. Then we move on to the Texas Swing, or the mini Texas Swing, the Houston Open. The chef, Minwoo Lee, gets his first win. He hit some weird golf shots on Sunday, but in the end, he got it done. He made a really nice putt from 50, 60 feet on 18 and avoided a playoff with who did he finish in first place out of?
Perfect course for Minwoo. You can get away with spraying it all over the place. So it was good to see Minwoo get the victory. Didn't you? Were you big on him that week?
I was big on Minwoo, but can I just take an aside for a second?
Yeah.
So Houston Open, I was in Las Vegas for work all week. And I got my lineups in. We got that taken care of, found some time to do it. But I put in my survivor picks earlier in the week. We talked about it. 2 survivor pools. We had to make 2 picks. I went Aaron Rye and I think Rory McIlroy in the reloaded pool. And I texted you on Wednesday and I said, I'm really feeling this AM PM wave stack. And Rye is off in the afternoon on Thursday. The guy I would go back to is Minwoo if I want someone in the morning stack. And your response was, under no circumstances would I ever change a survivor pick because of a weather stack. I said, under no circumstances would I ever change a pick when you say under no circumstances. So I didn't. And then I went out with the coworkers and everything at this conference. We went out. It was late. I'm coming back to my hotel at like midnight or 1 a.m. and I have several drinks in, and I go, it's going to be really funny when I change my pick to Minwoo Lee instead of Aaron Rye just to spite Kyle. And I got into my room and I laid down in my bed and I went right to sleep, and I did not change my pick.
And Rye missed the cut.
It wasn't even close.
To be fair, you had Rye. No, he made a little bit of a charge on Friday. I thought he had a puncher's chance going into the back 9 and then faded. So you still have the one lineup. Sorry we didn't get there. And I know this is what you were asking, who Minwoo squeaked it out from. You were clearly wanting to talk about Gary Woodland's T2.
Yeah, and T2 with Mr. Scheffler.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
fair
mean,
enough.
yeah,
No, good for Gary though. I mean, everybody's been
good for Gary.
backing him this whole year, the West Coast swing, and Gary finally figures it out in Texas, and I hope he has a good couple of weeks here. So we hang out in Texas for one more week for the Valero Texas Open. Huge RTG week.
Huge.
Take me through it. Take me through it. What were you feeling? At what point did you feel like our guy Brian Harman had a chance to do this?
I was actually very intrigued at the end of round one, when he was T2 to captain first round Killer Keith Mitchell, because
No, it's Sam Ryder. Didn't Sam Ryder?
Well, actually, Sam Ryder squeaked it out.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Keith was there all day.
He was.
And Sam squeaked out the end. Just looking at strokes gain data that day, I think Harman was second in the field approach going into after round one to Keith, and had shown we put a new putter in play last week too, and was also top 5 putting. And we saw at the Open in the past, or TPC, at the Players in the past, where he has shown the ability, if he can be really hot with approach, he has his pop putting weeks and he can get there. So I thought we had a sneaky good chance Thursday, got a great Friday, and I was super confident actually going into Sunday, and then it got a little dicey.
Luckily, it got dicey for everyone.
It did.
Yes.
I mean, it's tough conditions. I mean, that golf course is not easy, and it was so windy. Just to clue the listeners in here. So we participate in this huge season-long Calcutta. You auction off players at the beginning of the year. There's no ceiling on the pot. It's just what guys go for, and then each win is a percentage of the total pot. And so we purchased 2 players, Mac Meisner, Total Bomb, and then Brian Harman, which honestly, what I called a value play, even though he was kind of second tier down as far as money being spent, or third tier. But I consider a value play because you look at some of the guys that were going ahead of Brian in this auction. It was it was like Kurt Kitayama and Matt McCarty and Harry Hall and Andrew Novak.
Harry Hall.
Going for
25% more money than Brian Harman. All I'm saying, he's sitting there, and we're like, all right, I guess we'll roll with it. And we knew that any win between him and Mac was going to be worth a 3x ROI right off the bat, and now everything else is gravy the rest of the year. So, what I didn't think about, and maybe what we should think about for future years, is that there are courses that disproportionately fit guys like Brian Harman.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are some weeks where he is just in play because of the style of his game. And that's not necessarily true with like a, kind of maybe more prototypical player, maybe like a Mac Meisner, where it's like Brian is just so good at hitting golf shots, hitting the ball straight off the tee, although he didn't do that very much on Sunday.
No.
But like hitting the ball straight off the tee and then hitting golf shots, working the ball both directions, getting up and down from tough spots. That's why he won the Open Championship. And so you think about it, is like there's like 6 courses on tour every year where that's a valuable skill set.
Yeah. And I think we've been good. We've been successful at this 2 years in.
Extremely lucky though, right?
Yeah, but I do think there's some value to what we're talking about too, because the other thing I've thought about this year, and Harman doesn't necessarily apply to this, but there's probably value in finding that next tier guy that's not in the elevated events. The one downside of Harman is he doesn't play in any altfields events not altfield events, but secondary events.
He doesn't play
often. So it was great to actually get him at the Valero, because up until this point he's played in the big boy events. It's almost
he's probably not going to win.
Yeah.
No, it's a great point, and well, super fun to get flush with some cash going into going into Masters.
I hadn't told you guys yet, but we did receive our funds.
Okay, great.
So.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the last week. That brings us up to the Masters week. Anything else on your mind? Professional, personal, big storylines last month?
Just one last thing on the Valero. That leaderboard was one of the reasons that I had quite a bit of confidence, I guess, in Harman that week, and getting it done. I mean, we're trying to outlast Ryan Gerard, Andrew Novak. Have we figured out how to say Rio Hisatsuni?
It's not his hats off. It's his hats on.
I've heard it every podcast I've heard. So anyway, a great lead into this week and just ready for a great, exciting leaderboard. Glad to see Harmon get it done, but ready to have some real competition.
All
Did you see
right.
the things on Harmon's putter?
Yeah, I did.
How he switched it for the tournament and then I think he said he was putting great inside 10 feet, but terrible from 10 to 20 with his old putter. Let me just change the putter and lights out.
Yeah, what did he say? He said, they said, well, what model did you switch to?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I don't know, the TaylorMade with the letters on it.
Yeah, the letters.
Yeah, you said something like that.
It was a zero torque design. I didn't even know that was a thing. So center shaft.
Yeah.
putter.
Center shafts are coming. There
On
seems
the
to be a
raid.
lot more. Well, it worked out for him. He gained 5.3 strokes putting last at the
Yeah,
Valero
he was.
after losing in 3 straight. So glad he made the switch.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped for back-to-back Brian Harmon wins at San Antonio and Augusta.
You know, so we had some Harmon history too, because last year we had
took
him
him
at
in the
Sawgrass.
a players championship only Calcutta.
Yep. And we thought we were really good at this because we got him second place there, and that only Calcutta pays top 6 in the lower rounds of the day. He had a low round and finished second. And you know who else we won money on last year? Was Chris Kirk, because he won
The
in
Century.
Hawaii. Yeah, Century. And I also made quite the effort to draw comp courses between finishing well at Century and finishing well at Augusta.
Mm.
So we should go buy Chris Kirk.
We should go buy
tomorrow.
Chris Kirk.
Sure.
Okay. I was trying to
That-
figure
you
out.
might be able to get him for a reasonable price.
Yeah, I don't even know that he's in the field.
We can let's.
Yes, yeah.
I am in for buying Chris Kirk tomorrow. 'cause
Okay,
he's
you
gonna be
got it.
cheap. No
You
one
got
else.
You got
Get
it.
him right away, overbid, and just get him.
I have no other updates really, although I was peeking at some of the past results in the RTG Listener League last month. Buke continues to find podiums. I think it's absolutely preposterous. Kyle, I know you took down one back at the Valspar. I didn't get to enter for the Houston because I was in Las Vegas where you can't play DFS. And so I'm excited for a little bit of a juiced up event this week for the Masters. So if you're listening to this, check out our Twitter feed and get in on our Listener League. Jordan, do you got some one and done numbers?
Yeah. I did invite Book over for the pod. I wanted to surprise you guys.
He declined.
He declined because he has a job that he needs to wake up early for, and
be on.
Yeah. And be 100% on. Update overall. We're gonna skip last week because no one had anything close to making any amount of money on that tournament.
Yeah, like the highest finish was
300K was the biggest.
I can't believe no one played Brian Harmon. It was such a Brian Harmon course. Come on, guys.
We even have a guy named Brian Hartman who didn't play Brian Harmon. Big fail. But yeah, so year to date, we've got Brad Lynch up top with 8.7 million. Jinxie is the only other person above 8. Then there's 2 Newberg and Jemenke in the 7 million range, and then it drops down a bunch of people in 5. Our gracious host, Mr. Mike Koziak, bringing up 5th place right now.
That's worth my money back.
I think that's the highest you've ever been. So I'm proud of you.
Not the highest I've ever been, but certainly the furthest up the leaderboard. That's for sure.
I've really faded the last month. Where am I at?
Are you behind me?
I was top 10. I was off to a good start.
You are $200,000 ahead of me, but you've played one more event and made 3 more cuts.
Well, that's your fault for not entering one.
Yeah, and your fault for picking mediocre players all the time.
I still got all my big guns left.
Who are you going with this week?
Sergio Garcia.
Here, I'll go look in the commission.
Actually, if you go back to the players, I did throw out who I think was going to win. Not super confident about that, but they're on the card. A little teaser for it.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's transition to the Masters, the main event. I think we haven't done a great job we haven't done a great job of highlighting beer, but I want to make 2 shout outs on the beer this week. First of all, Kyle, you're holding up this can.
I said it there to be Masters theme.
Bounce out of Junkyard.
Junkyard, a beautiful beer for theme for the week. I think I might just have to only have this beer this weekend.
That is, I mean, I'm going to go pick some up. It's pretty good. I did swing through Junkyard about a month ago. I was up near Moorhead actually for a funeral, but just excellent beer that they had on hand there that we don't even get in distro down here. So I am a huge fan. And then Jordan, you were pouring out some Falling Knife, which in memoriam, the founder of Falling Knife Brewery here in Minnesota, Tom Berg. I think his name is Tom Berg. He
Tom Berg?
Just Tom. Todd? One of the two. This is embarrassing. He passed away on Sunday unexpectedly, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Mike took our beer segment and talked about a funeral and another passing.
What? But have a drink.
Yes, Falling Knife. Very sad.
Yep. That's quite the name also. I just realized I work with someone whose name is Gary Gray. Why would your parents do the same fucking 4 letters for first name and last name? That's just mean.
Or cool.
No, it's not cool. His name is like, how many woodchucks could a woodchuck chuck? What like anyway.
Please finish. Yes. All right. Speaking of names.
New beer's opened.
New beer's open. Looks like it's a Pryes. Haze-steria.
Yep.
Haze-steria.
We got the Masters at Augusta National. Alistair McKenzie's Crown Jewel, Augusta, Georgia. Past winner, Scott Scheffler. What do you think of Scotty's menu?
It's very similar to before, right? So I respect it. I like the amount of options he has. Has a couple different appetizers. I really want to know what Slider's Scotty style is, though. Like, can we get some clarity on what Scotty style means?
And shouldn't they be called shufflers? You can tweet that one out.
Yeah, I thought.
Well, Mike already had his menu joke.
I did have my joke. I think he missed an opportunity not going with the handcrafted ravioli.
Yeah, did you guys know that at the dinner you don't have to eat that menu? You can order off the regular menu, and I saw most people just order steaks no matter what.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like offensive.
It should be the menu. This is what you're eating. Don't come if you don't want to eat it.
I agree. I saw that mentioned in like a video or something I saw today. I wonder if it was still like that because it was an older comment.
This one was new. It was like 15 things you didn't know about the Masters. Like one, after you win, you also get a locket that's supposed to be for your wife.
I did see that.
And one of the things was the menu, and most people don't eat it.
I was going to ask this question as we kind of we'll get into the course breakdown here. I know Kyle actually got some notes. It's amazing how much Twitter is taken over. Golf Twitter is taken over with just Masters content, all the little things, 15 things you didn't know you win if you win the Masters. Do you guys have a favorite piece of content that you've seen this week that you'd want to share?
I've been diving. We've talked golf architecture a little bit on here. That's been more and more an interest of mine. I've been diving a lot more into the history of design of Augusta. I listened to a couple pods on Sunday and Monday that were more around that than DFS, and that's a complete new endeavor for me.
Kind of changes your perspective of like the event this weekend then.
Yeah, it does. I'm going to be paying attention to a lot more, and that's actually kind of what started me down that path was the hurricane that came through, and maybe the changes from the trees. And I was just having a trouble wrapping my head around how the trees could change it as much as they've talked about. So that's been interesting.
Do you think is it going to affect play?
Did you see it was the Rom, I believe. So like somebody told him that they theorized you could hit a high cut over the cabins on 10 and cut it off. Yeah.
Interesting.
That has to be Bryson, right? Like
and that is the hole that typically, if you look at some of the breakdowns of why left-handers tend to play so well at Augusta, that's the hole a lot of times they go to that say these righties that like to hit these power cuts off the tee. 10 is the one that's really tough, is because really cannot hit a cut on that tee box.
Mhm.
And so you see guys like Scotty hitting these really funky golf swings, trying to hook the ball around the corner here. And so it'll be interesting, like if it does open up a bit more room for guys to hit a high cut.
Yeah. Some of the Scotty shots here in the past, like especially it was last year, right? When some of those just low darts he was hitting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I got 2 bits.
But I was gonna say if people do start doing that and allows it, Augusta's
well,
gonna bring in some 100-foot tall trees and plant them right there
and that's what
and not
Rahm's,
allow it next year.
that's what Rahm's joke was during his presser today. He's like, I shouldn't have said this. Now there'll be a tree there
They'll
tomorrow.
put or like a
Yeah.
scoreboard. They'll
Yeah.
just like I had 2 bits. One play related and then one history related. So there was a thread that went crazy with some guy named Brad, certified 1.4 handicap, saying that if he played from the Augusta women's amateur tees, 6,300 yards or whatever, 6,700 yards, whatever it was, as a 1.4, he was like, no question, I'm shooting 67 on this golf course. And there was just so many good takes just roasting this idiot who I think was being 100%. I don't think he was trolling. He seemed like the kind of guy that was being mom's basement.
Well, because he even posted like, 3 of those par 4s I could drive.
Yeah.
But it's the greens.
It's the greens. It's the greens. I mean, people are saying like, you're going to have like minimum 3 5-putts. And I think I most appreciated Lou Stagner's response that just went with as he does, like the pure data approach that was like based on the distances that you're likely to have in every single one of these holes, you are more likely to shoot 87 than you are 67. It's just statistically probable.
Yeah.
Brad.
I will say they probably like the greens there for that tournament and for normal member play are probably not
as great.
Saturday at the Masters.
But this goes back to the whole bit that like Chris Powers had, which was if you started on the fringe, could you win? And people are like, of course you could. But I don't think, Jordan, you've been there. Like the green complexes, I don't think unless you've been there, you can understand how ridiculous these green complexes are.
Yeah.
The height on them back to front is crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder what I said last year when we talked about that. Maybe if I started on the green, I would have a shot. If I started 4 feet off the green further from the pin, I have no chance.
Well, yeah. I know we could just keep on pulling on the thread. I have one other question before we jump into the actual DFS preview. Tiger Woods, 28 years ago, wins the Masters, 1997, his second year playing in the Masters, wins by 12 shots. Right. 1997 is obviously a very famous Masters. I was making dinner one night and I just flipped on Golf Channel really quick and I just was getting a replay of 1997. Like they just teed off and they were just doing highlights of 1997. What did Tiger Woods shoot on the front 9 in 1997 in a golf tournament that he won by 12 shots?
Which round?
First round, Thursday.
I think I saw this tee somewhere, like a 40.
28.
That was a good guess, Jordan. 40 is the right answer.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Twitter.
He shot 40 in the first round. Like he was as jittery as you could possibly imagine. Shooting 40 in the first round, he turns around and shoots 30 on the back 9, which included an eagle on 15. And he birdied 17, and he had a couple of other close calls. He birdied 10. He chipped in on 12 from like 10 yards over the green, like almost in the azaleas. He chips into the front pin on 12, and he shoots 70, and then he turns around and shoots 66, 65, 69, and wins by 12 strokes.
Do you know what place he was in after shooting that 70?
6th? Fourth, yeah.
He shot a 40 on the front 9 and was in 4th place.
Yeah, just absolutely. There was actually some really bad scores. I think Faldo shot something like Faldo shot 75, Greg Norman shot 78 or 77. Like, I think it was a tough day out there, but yeah, crazy stuff that he shot 40 in that round and finished minus 18.
Do you know who the leader was?
Because I watched this, I do remember that it was someone that I never have heard of.
Correct. John Houston.
Oh no, okay, no, I do know
I'm
John
trying to
Houston
think
because
where did he finish that year?
I was a standard bearer for him in the 2005 years of the Heat. Did he implode?
The 2005 U.S. Open, you
Yeah.
were standard bearer for John Houston. Okay. Fun fact.
Fun fact, yeah, I was 18 years old.
I was reading it over Jordan's shoulder, and I would have got the name wrong. I thought it said John Hatton.
He finished 21st. Okay, he was respectable. It is HUSTON.
Yeah,
John
sure is. All right, well, let's do it. Let's talk about the golf course, Augusta National. Kyle, you got to be an all-around player to do well at Augusta.
Correct.
Why is that?
Correct. Well, I think there is a couple different paths though. You see some guys that have had success here. I would say the most standard path is gaining off the tee, hitting good approaches, avoiding those tricky around the green shots, and then making some putts. It is a tough course to gain on the greens historically. You have to gain par 5 scoring though, especially that 550 to 600 range. You look back, we were talking a lot about past winners here. Look at the last 10 years, how those guys have scored on par 5s. There is some outliers of guys that are kind of the old guard is what I would say, that who just come play Augusta well. A guy like Cam Smith usually he's not going to get off the tee, but he just can be a wizard around the greens. Phil, Patrick Reed, I would put into those buckets. So can you survive with that model? Yes. So maybe can those guys find some DFS plays for us using that sort of model? Yeah. But the winner here is most likely going to be someone that gains off the tee and is hitting good approaches with long irons well, and then hopefully make some putts. But that makes sense. That's why you look at our winners here, and it's been the studs. It's been the best of the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really has. Like you look back, like we really haven't had a out of nowhere Masters winner since Schwartzel.
Danny Willett.
Danny Willett's probably a good one.
Because Schwartzel's remained not relevant, but more of a name than Danny Willett, hasn't he?
He plays on Live.
Well, but other than that, like, did Danny Willett ever do anything?
No, he didn't. I've tried to bet him a few times. It hasn't worked out well. But yeah, Kyle, I think you're right. Like, Augusta is just a sneaky hard golf course, and I think the thing that is been sneaking up a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out why, is driving distance and carry distance has become an increasing trend over the last handful of years. And my assumption is this is a bit like Pebble, where it's not necessarily about just bombing it all over the place around Augusta. It's how driving distance translates through the bag. And because you have so many long approach shots at Augusta, those guys just tend to get to hit shorter irons.
Yeah, and this is just workshopping this in my mind too. I wonder if some of that is though because of they've moved some tees back recently too, right?
Could be.
I haven't heard anything about that this year as much, but we had that was a big part of last year going in. Was it 2 and like wasn't there 2 tees they moved back last year? And I am a little bit more concerned about the ability to let it fly from a driving perspective this year too, with some of the trees that we've talked about, if that did open it up a bit. And another thread to pull on, maybe you teased weather earlier, Mike. We haven't had great weather.
No, we really haven't.
We've had, what was that 2 years ago when you had the trees fall during the round there? Remember that? A storm coming through?
Yep.
And so we've had some wet weather, which I think has softened it up. They have that sub-air system, Jordan, but the day of the event, you can't do as much about it. So I think that also lets guys be a little bit more aggressive. So I think it's probably a general combination of, but
you look at the stats and you say, this is the driving distance this is the 10th highest course in correlation to success for driving distance, and it's 51st out of 52 for driving accuracy. And it doesn't strike me as a golf course where you can just hit it all over the place, because it is still tree lined and you still have to, find your way through these corridors. But that's what leads me to believe that it's distance through the bag that is going to help on some of those longer approaches. Just have shorter clubs into the greens.
Sure. Yeah.
So I will be looking at driving distance this week. As for weather, not seeing a true wave stack, except Friday is really interesting right now in the forecast. Rain in the morning, wind in the afternoon. So pick your poison. Like, if it's going to be calm and rainy and soft, as long as it's not too rainy, you get that front maybe passes out, but then the wind picks up. Augusta, when it starts to dry out in the wind, can actually play pretty tough. So I would pay attention to maybe, especially a showdown on Friday, if you can maybe load up on one of those sides there.
Yeah, it does. Just on the weather vein too, Thursday looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yes. Mostly sunny, high near 76. Calm winds becoming southwest at 5 to 8, maybe late morning. Just a perfect day. We had that coming through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday look great too. Maybe a little chilly start, but it'll be nice to see good weather just because we haven't had as much.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about some players.
I have a question for you.
Please.
What percentage of Masters winners in the last 30 years have been arrested?
Good question. Good question. What percentage of Masters winners? Well, there's less than 30 Masters winners, and there's only 20. We'll say there's 25. I know of 2 that have been arrested.
There's at least 3.
Kyle's saying there's at least 3. Gosh, who else has been arrested? So Kyle thinks there's 3. I know I can name 2. Who's the third I'm not thinking of?
Tiger.
Oh,
yeah, you're not thinking of Tiger.
I'm gonna go 12%.
29.
29%? I mean, there's got to be some.
Well, the Tiger has won it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
So he counts for 5.
Angel Cabrera has won it once, and Scotty's won it twice.
Man.
Only one of them did time in jail, who is back at his first Masters since prison this year.
It's a great piece of trivia right there.
It is a great piece of trivia. I have seen some really bad things about Angel in the media recently that I didn't know. And so there was a call to just boycott him from the Masters in general, but I'm not going to dig into that in this show. I want to talk
and then
about
he won this week.
Was it?
He won. He won last
week.
He did. Whatever
the Champions Tour. He did with a yellow golf ball. Kyle, talk about some players that actually have a chance to win this golf tournament.
Well, according to our model, Mike, we have 3 guys leading the way so far, 50% mention share. And the beauty of the Masters is we have almost all contributors in, only 1 or 2 stragglers still out there. We have Colin Morikawa, 10,500 salary this week, 47% on the MPI. Patrick Reed, 7,300 salary, 50% mention share, as I mentioned. Only 5 on the MPI so far. So, Patrick Reed getting a lot of talk, but not from our strongest contributors of the year so far. And then Sepp Straka, 7,600, so another value play for us, 50% mention share, 42 on the MPI. Right behind them, we have 2 more, 45%. Don't think it would surprise anyone. Scotty Scheffler, who is 12-4 this week, which I think poses an interesting question about lineup construction. MPI is a little stronger at 57. And then Shane Lowry, $8,800, 45% mention share as well, 63 on the MPI.
All right. Well, a couple of studs there, a couple of value plays. Yeah, I mean, Scotty it's a good point. We have a 6, we don't go down to the 5K, so we bottom out at 6K this week. Again, it would have been fun if DK would have gone up to like 12.8. Or maybe even 13, and again, really make you choose. I think 12-4 probably still going to force a decision here, especially with a few other players there. Rory obviously at 11-1, and then a few other high 10K plays. What are you thinking, Kyle? Let's just start with the studs. You got 2 of them in the top group there. Are you interested in Colin or Scotty from a DFS standpoint, or are you going to go elsewhere for your anchor?
I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do in a cash perspective at the top of the board. But in my GPP style lineups, I think I'm going to start with John Rahm at 10-4. He is getting some love this week for us. He's 20% mention share, but is some of our stronger contributors so far. He has 74 in the MPI. Brandon Gadula at FanDuel mentions him. Fantasy Six Pack is on him, and McNeil over at Rotorballer. Just, a guy that has great history at the Masters, obviously has the win, but he also has a fourth, a T9, a T7, T5. He did finish T45 last year in his first time coming back after being on live, but that was primarily driven by losing 4 strokes around the green, or putting, and 0.2 around the green. So that is not something he's done here in the past. So I'm going to take that as an outlier. Yes, he hasn't won on live, but he's been put up good, consistent results, and I think that fire is still within him, which is something we are a little bit concerned with some of the live golfers, TJ. So I think Rahm's going to be is going to be where I'm going to start, and I think this is where the lineup conversation gets interesting. Is the only thing that would scare me away is if I start to get the consensus that a lot of people are going to be there, but you're going to have your Scotty players. I think that Rory's only 11-1. You were talking about maybe pricing up Scotty. I'm really surprised by that Rory price.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't he closer to Scotty at 1,300 difference?
Especially from an odds standpoint, like those two guys are clearly by far the favorites on the odds board, and so the salary, I guess, doesn't really reflect that. I do have Rahm number 1 in my model this week. It's hard to get there emotionally because I don't watch him golf. I'm not seeing the horse before it goes out. I really don't have any context. You start digging in, you say, what's going on with this game? Well, he hasn't finished outside the top 10 on live this year, which, again, take it for what it is. It's a 35 person golf tournament. It's not, it's 54, 48, something like that. I don't even know.
You could have told me it was 30, and I would have been like, okay.
But a second, sixth, fifth, ninth, like he's playing good golf. He's gaining in all phases of his game. He has the elite Masters history. The question is like if everyone else is going to get there. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a good play this week. And if there's one guy in the field that's actually going to show up and want it outside of maybe Bryson, Rahm's probably the guy. So I don't hate that. Collins sitting at the top right now. I don't know that I'm going to go there in DFS. I've already bet him pretty heavily. I don't have any problem with Collins this week. I just think he's going to be eating probably a lot of chalk, and I just might want to be a little bit different. Yes, no?
Yeah, I have no interest in a GPP. Maybe in cash. You do have some elite history, T18, 5th, T10, T3, and some decent form. We do both have bets on him as UTs. Not feeling comfortable about that, but we did what we did when we were in the futures market, so here we are. Yeah, so maybe a cash start. I could see that, especially if you didn't want to go all the way up to Scotty and just don't want the Rory Masters baggage. But I could see that's the only scenario I could see me making that click.
Why is that? You don't like good results?
From a cash standpoint, you get the little bit of a savings. You don't want to pay up to the 12-4, and you don't want the Rory baggage.
No, but that's why you would pick him.
That's why I would take Colin.
But why aren't you going to actually take him? You said you're not going to pick him.
I said I could in cash. I'm not going in GPP.
How come not in GPP?
Because according to the modeling program we utilize, and Mike has also been playing around with ownership a little bit, so I want to see if you're validated with this, as Colin is the 3rd highest ownership and only 4% behind Scotty right now.
It looks like I haven't finished our model, so I'll work on that while we're here. Yeah, good call out. Okay. Anyone else high up from a salary standpoint that, I mean, obviously we said Morikawa and Scheffler being the clear 2 favorites from an RTG expert standpoint. The only other guy, we said Rahm, Ludwig. Any interest in Ludwig this week? 2nd year. We just saw him on TV, this beautiful yellow and green Adidas track jacket.
It was beautiful. I fully expect you to be rocking that.
It's beautiful. One week you can't wear that ever again.
Well, that's why if I see Mike this weekend, I expect him to be wearing it. No interest in Ludwig. Yes, he won the Genesis T22 at API after that, and then cut. The players in Valero, his approach game has not been good. His around the green game has not been good, and that is just as we've seen in the past. Does that mean he can't compete? No, but that is also not a formula for success typically at the Masters. And even though he did finish second here last year, he still lost 2 strokes around the green. And just was lights out with the putter, gaining 7 strokes with the flat stick. He has not shown that ability to be that pop like that with the putter recently. I just don't see it.
Okay. I mean I buy that. Yeah, I probably won't be anywhere near Ludwig this week. You know, it's hard. It's like as a golf fan, any of these guys I'd love to see. I'd love to see Ludwig coming down on Sunday afternoon, coming down 18 with the lead, but I agree from a betting standpoint, DFS standpoint, that's not so where I'm going to be. We get down a little bit deeper. We hit on some of these 7K plays, but first you talked about maybe a soft spot in the go for it, Kyle. Open up another members bounce. Members bounce. You talked about maybe a soft spot in the low 9Ks. It's really interesting because I'm looking at the first, 20 players, 25 players on our consensus rankings here. I don't see anybody in the low 9Ks. JT's the only 9K player, period.
Yeah. And I think JT might get some clicks. I think some people go to Bryson, but just try a build, right? Try it out and see what it looks like. So if you click Rory at 11-1 and say, hey, I want Colin at 10-5, you are leaving yourself with not much, you have to 7,100 left per player. So just some cheaper guys we haven't talked about yet, but that are probably going to get some love this week, probably getting some clicks. We talked about Sepp Straka, 50% mention share. Adam Scott has great course history here. So let's say you fill them in. Then you're down to JJ Spawn and Phil Mickelson to build out a lineup, in the 6Ks. So it gets difficult if you start 2 above 10. And then let's say you decide to go away from Colin and go Bryson and save $600. You still have $7,250 per guy. It's just hard to get to those low 9s unless you avoid the complete top of the board and start with the Bryson or something.
But that's what's interesting about this is that there is probably going to be 2 of those 10K plays in the hunt come Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Masters. That's what's happens. So saying like, well, I'm gonna zag when everyone else zigs and just play a bunch of 9K plays doesn't really help me if the studs are going to be there at the end of the day anyways.
If you have to have the right horses though, right?
You do. But and of course, like if you're deciding to zag and you're going to play the 9Ks, then you're just hoping for chaos.
Well, I wouldn't say you go into the 9Ks if you were going to start 8s and play 5/8s and a high 7.
Sure. Yeah.
Which
sure.
There's a lot of guys in the 8s people love this week, but you could also run out Patrick Cantlay, Tommy Fleetwood, Brooks Koepka, Shane Lowry, JT Poston, and Patrick Reed lineup. And then you have the 2 9s, 2 8s, a 7, and a 6, which I don't think is going to be a common build. So you'll get a little bit away from the chalk. And if you think that Rory's seeing ghosts, if you think that Scotty's not Scotty yet, if you think Xander is still doesn't have his touch back, and that Ludwig of the last couple of weeks,
yeah, all those things have to play out that way.
Yeah, and then your floor though is probably higher with that type of group too.
Yeah,
because you're not going down into the 6s 3 times. It's interesting. I think they could have done a little bit better, like we talked about, raising Rory. If he was 11-8, I think that would have really driven decision there. Maybe Scotty at 12-6, 12-8. But it's an interesting build with the salary perspective. Yes, there's a 95-man field now, but you can cut 15 out, right? So it's really an 80-man field, and 56 are going to make the cut.
Yeah, no, I would say the takeaway there is if you're looking for a soft spot in ownership, low 9Ks is the way to go. So let's drop down. I mean, even if you were to pick someone out of there, I think, we currently have Brooks Koepka at the top of the power index there, but you also have, Tommy Fleetwood is probably the next one that we'd look at in terms of our model from an expert standpoint. Let's click down. Let's click down to the next spot. Eights, high sevens. You mentioned Sap Straka, you mentioned Shane Lowry. I'm interested in Russell Henley this week. What are you thinking?
Very interested in Russell Henley as well. Coughlin over In Between Sports is there. Spencer over at Rotoballer. Russell Henley coming off the win at the API, followed that up with T30 at the Players, T6 at the Cognizant before that. He's been playing some great golf. You have to really go back to find a missed cut.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to go back a long ways. Like, it's not even on one screen. I'm gonna have to click next. T38 at the Masters last year, T4 the previous year, T15, T11. So he's shown that ability. I think he's gonna be a key piece for me, definitely in cash lineups, but probably across the board.
Yeah. You're just looking for guys that are just gaining a ton of strokes tee to green. Russell's one of those guys that fits that profile, as is Shane Lowry. Trying to get a read on exactly where those guys are going to be owned. I think you're going to probably see double-digit ownership on both of them this week. But you know what? You play them in the right spot. Those are guys that are going to be high floor guys. Looking down a little bit further, if we start to dip into the 7Ks, I am all in on the Keegan Bradley bandwagon this week. I've already bet him. I was wanting to get him at I think I'm at 120. He might be down to 100 now. I might bet Keegan in every major this year just for the Netflix story that he's going to play himself into a player captain position in the Ryder Cup. And the only way that happens is if he takes down a major title.
For sure. I dig it. I like the angle. Somebody you did put out in the Twitterverse, right? What would be the suggestion in the Calcutta? Somebody said Keegan would be a sneaky top 6, right?
He would be.
I think that was Bo, big time. I could dig it. I mean, he's again talking about a high floor player. He's not missed a cut in a long time. The Open Championship.
So if he ends up as player captain, does he call in Tiger to be the acting captain?
I think
Tiger turned it down, right?
So I think he calls Zach Johnson.
Keegan.
I think
we know that won't happen. One thing that isn't good are Iowa coaches.
Hey. Good new coach.
That is
right, like that'd be a pumper upper for the team. Tiger injured comes in as the
I don't know. I just think it's gonna be I want to be there for Keegan's win when it happens this year. And so that's a little bit of just a flyer bet. But there is some interesting stuff here. I mean, where are you at on Bobby Mack?
He is in my short list for my single entry lineups for sure.
Is he above or below Max Homa?
Above. I don't think Max Homa is on any list now. I love Max, right? But that would be a tough click this week. Although he did tell no laying up, he shot
I listened to that.
Or something.
He said he missed a putt on. missed a putt on 9 for a 28.
Yeah.
Nothing like
at Meadowbrook.
I hated coming off a practice round. I hated playing practice rounds for any event. I tried to play poorly. Like, I never wanted to play well because you put a number in your head of like you can't do better than that.
Yeah.
Under pressure.
You literally played perfect.
I can't play better than that under pressure. So like, what am I doing? Well, I always loved going out and shooting like a 79 in a practice round because I knew all I had to do was just play better than I just played.
So I bring him up because he announced today he's going to be at the 3M Open this year.
Is he really?
Which shows how far he has dropped down.
He needs points.
And he was top 5 last year here, which talk about a difference a year makes.
And now they're calling
You're
it the Northern Swing, by
the
the way.
Northern Swing. Yeah.
Really?
It's a branded.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I like that. Give us make it a thing. We talked about that. Oh, that's great. I mean, you know that he split up with his caddy Joe Greiner,
Who is supposedly gonna be on JT's bag. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the talk. Is first of all, it was Joe that requested the split.
Oh.
And
a golfer that could win a tournament.
I mean, that's the joke. The joke is that he needed money.
Yeah.
And so he had to go. Someone's gonna make some.
Well, it's not like JT's been racking them up, but anyway.
Well, he makes cuts.
Yeah, he makes cuts. Yeah. Yes, I am in on Bobby Mack, T12 and 23rd at the Masters the 2 times he's played it, and just he's shown the ability to win a big event. 9th at the Players. He played apparently in Singapore last time out, also 9th there, but T6 at Phoenix. So he's just had some solid finishes. T17 in Dubai. Yeah, I'm in.
All right, I got one more guy I want to ask you about, and then I'll let you just throw out some bombs if you got them. Will Zalatoris has been dominant at Augusta without a win, obviously, but he's been hurt. He's been back. He's been not back. He's been back. I don't know if you ended up betting him. We do have him 40% mention share right now, right? Getting a lot of love, not crazy high in the power index, but like, what's going on with Will Zalatoris 8,300? Is he going to attract some attention this week from a DFS standpoint?
I think you're going to get some clicks in that 8K range for sure. I'm thinking we could see a little bit of a spread between Ross and Bobby Mack and Will, where it spreads it out, the ownership a little bit. Maybe they all come in that 14 to 18% range. If someone is going to be lower, it's probably Will, but at the same time, I think I'm going to get my exposure via the betting card just in case he gets it done with maybe a placement bet backing it up. I don't foresee myself going there in DFS. Love you, Will, but that's been burned way too many times.
Yeah, 8,300 feels actually a little steep.
I agree.
A little steep here. I think if we're getting like a 7,600 or a 7,200 Will Zalatoris, that would interest me a little bit more. I want to dip. I want to get your take on a. Give me 1 or 2 6K plays of guys that, again, thinking even like Calcutta wise, and I don't even know if we're going to get on the Masters Calcutta, but like who's down board here that like even has a chance to flash?
Well, according to our model, the 2 popping so far are Lucas Glover, 6,600, 30% mention share, but the MPI loves him at 94. And then JJ Spawn, 6,800, 20% mention share, and then 81 on the MPI. And I just wanted to dig in a little bit in Glover, what's really driving that. Again, Coughlin over in between media. Esser at the Athletic has highlighted him. Gadula at FanDuel. Matt Gannon at SPGN. Alex Hunter at Fantasy Lab Cash Plays. So, I believe Glover, I should dig into this a little bit more, but I believe he's had some really pop rounds at Augusta, but maybe not the best consistency overall.
Mm-hmm.
But so when you're talking about like Calcutta, the ability to go low there is interesting and grab a low round of the day.
Yeah, I mean, he is a live and die by the approach. Like he's such a good approach player. I have such a hard time backing him. Like I never get it right. He's had 2 great finishes the last 2 times out. 8th at Valspar, 3rd at the Players. He's hitting the ball great.
He's made 4 of his last 5 cuts.
Yeah, at the Masters.
Goes back 12 years.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's not here all the time, but when he is here, he plays well.
When was his first Masters?
I do have it up right here. I was just
I graduated college.
I was just getting out of diapers.
Yeah.
Lucas Glover's been around a long time.
The glove.
So yeah, I don't know. I agree. Like I just can't see myself getting there. Can't see myself getting there. You go down maybe the next crop of guys in our model, Denny, Harris English, JJ Spawn. He said JJ Spawn's getting a lot of attention. He's playing great golf this year. He's top 40, top 30 in the world right now. Like,
Yeah,
This-
I think that's people looking for the floor. I mean, you get down to, and then this is the interesting thing about pricing this week. The Harris English of the world, who has a win this year at 6,500. You go down to 62, there you're a bunch of nobodies, or and maybe we're somebody's, but somebody that's not going to compete anymore. So that's where the value plays do come in a little bit. You're only going up $300 to get a legit guy that's going to pop this week. I would think or could pop this week. I think in general though, towards the bottom of the board, like I'm not gonna play a fill and definitely in a GPP lineup where that's gonna garner 10% ownership or whatever it may be. That's where if you're gonna try to find my guy, maybe a JT Poston, for example, that I think is gonna be lower owned and get some leverage there. It's a smaller field. You got to find some leverage somewhere in GPP lineups.
all right, let's do a couple other takes here. Who's my survivor pick this week?
Rom.
Yeah.
Safe bet.
Yeah, you got to go live.
You have four tournaments to use.
You might as well use them now.
And Kepka, you're not using.
This is probably the best place. Yeah, I mean, I you're right. I think it's probably
That's wrong.
Okay. I had clicked in, I think someone like maybe Corey Connors earlier in the week, but I mean he's probably a pretty safe bet on the PGA side to. Yeah, but you're right. Like, why burn that here when you can go turn around and use them at RBC or something like that? Is this the best all lefty lineup I can build? Batia, McIntyre, Mickelson, Joe Highsmith, Matt McCarty, Brian Harmon. I think it is. Like,
that actually was deeper than I forgot. McCarty was in the field.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could go get Mike Weir.
Yeah, Bubba.
He's
been tearing up live. He's top 30 every tournament.
Mike, we didn't ask Jordan his place.
You don't want
to know my place?
I do want to know your place.
I have two that you surprisingly didn't mention. One of them until your left-handed lineup. I'm going Akshay.
Okay.
Lefty.
I like
I don't think he's gonna win it, but
I like the lefty.
I like the play.
I think it sets up well for him. And then just another hot golfer, Mr. Michael Kim. Played it last year. So he's been there. He's familiar. He's not going to be overwhelmed like he was last year and playing well. So they're my two cheapo plays for you.
So Michael Kim was on Pat Mayo's podcast talking about and I think the interesting thing was he specifically was talking about the API, which is in most people's minds, a length course, like more of a bomber's course, and like why maybe he can play well there without the length. And he talked a lot about the danger being a left miss. So he feels very comfortable on the tee because if he misses right, there's not usually that a lot of the water is on the left. And Augusta also has more penalty for left misses typically. So maybe there's some correlation there.
I'll tell you what, Lee Aldrich over at Ship It Nation, his value report has crushed it a handful of weeks this year, including last week at the Valero, which Lee called it halfway through the event. He knew he had a hot card. He's got Michael Kim this week, one of the two guys on Michael Kim, in addition to Connor Coughlin over and in between. So
got two top fives.
Yeah, he's no reason not to like Michael Kim at 6,700. All right. Well, I think on the DFS side, I think we've pretty much exhausted what we like from an RTG standpoint. Do you want to highlight your betting card, Kyle? You got any just super fun plays that you want to throw out there that you?
I need to find a fun prop. I need to get in tomorrow, but so far we had a futures bet on Colin Morikawa. Was in Arizona last week. Had to get something in while I could. Don't necessarily love it, but we're in on Colin. 5 units there. Also have him top 10. Had a Corey Connors future bet at 80. I thought that was a good play.
Yeah.
I'll back that up with the top 20 as well. I did take Sepp this week as well at 75. We'll go top 20 there. Have to get the Will bet in since we talked about that. That one was 65. Back that up to top 20. Haven't pulled the trigger on my last piece of my card. Swimming around the Henley at 55. We talked about it. Mike's telling me on him hard there. But, you have a guy like Brooks falling to 30. Can't lay it in the 40s. Like, maybe something there. I don't know. I'm struggling to fire that last bullet. I do want Adam Scott and Justin Rose first round leaders, though.
I feel like there's way too many times I've seen the leaderboard show one of those guys minus, like a couple years ago, Justin Rose -7 out of nowhere.
Yes.
They're gonna be nowhere near the lead on Sunday, but they'll figure it out on Thursday for sure.
You're gonna add Charles Schwartzel in there also.
Totally.
Always see his name on the leaderboard on Thursday.
Totally possible. Yeah, Colin. If you follow the narrative of elite ball strikers in form, playing well at Augusta, Colin is one of the few guys that's going to fit that mold. So I got him at 18. It's like, well, it's shorter than I would like to see on a winning card, but at the same time, it's like he's probably the guy. If you're not going Scotty or Rory, he's probably the guy that best fits the profile of an Augusta winner. So, but beyond that, I would like to fit one other guy in here, but I did bet Cantlay at 40. I told you I took Keegan at 100 because I got to be there. And then only because no other reason other than maybe it'll happen. Cam Young, 200. He's got 2 top 10s at Augusta. He actually made a cut last week. So maybe that's enough for him to not be a completely terrible golfer. But 200 for a guy that's had multiple top 5s in majors, I don't know. It's 200 to 1.
It's worth a shot at 200.
And then I think it's either Bobby Mack at 60 or it's Russell Henley at 55. I think either of those guys is worth firing. I think Russell Henley's probably the one for me. All right. Thursday, what are you guys doing?
Working,
Mike, very diligently.
Hoping to watch some Masters on the side. I might take my iPad to work and put it up so that I can watch it. And
I know I have a really busy Thursday.
Yeah. Thursday's actually going to be bad.
I do have Friday blocked. I have Friday blocked because it's my last day. My PTO resets on the following Monday, and I have actually, because I canceled a vacation this spring, had some days to burn, so I blocked Friday. I had like 2 meetings I got to deal with, but Friday I'm hoping is like a bit of yard work, a bit of range time, and some Masters coverage.
I love it.
Would you? So the guy that I've got booked to golf with on Saturday didn't want to golf on Sunday because he wanted to watch the Masters.
Yep.
Didn't really want to golf on Saturday to watch the Masters also. Is that an acceptable reason not to golf the first day, second day that your golf course is open?
I would have golfed earlier if you could. I am hesitant. I would be hesitant.
Kid shit, but
I would be hesitant golfing Saturday afternoon as well.
12:30 tee time, be done by 4:30.
I mean, you're talking to someone that's got. I mean, I got my daughter's birthday party on Saturday afternoon. Like I took. We're sweating out the Harmon win, and I took the kids to the Mall of America. Like, golf viewing does not normally take a priority for me. I would pretty much always prioritize golf playing.
But is the Masters the one time where
it's hard because it's like, it's not so much that I want to sit and watch it. It's that I don't want to have to cut myself off from all of the world and not be in the moment. I don't want to have to ignore my texts. I don't want to have to stay off Twitter. Like I want to just be there when it's happening.
Oh, I'm just gonna put it on the speaker and we'll listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing.
Good about that.
I know I've told the story before. Charles Schwartzel was 2016. What year he won? Jordan will get it. I should have.
Still up right.
It was my birthday.
2011.
It was my birthday on Masters Sunday, and I had gotten tickets.
Danny Willett was 2016.
There we go.
The other rando.
The other rando. I gotten tickets to 4 tickets to the Twins game on April 10th, on Sunday, April 10th. I took my wife and I went, and both of our dads. And I said, I'm putting the Masters on record on the DVR, and we're gonna go to the Twins game. We're gonna come back and we're sit on the couch for 2 hours. We're gonna watch the finale. And we did that. And I said, nobody look at their phones. I don't want anyone spoiling anything. And we're watching the final round in kind of like the fast forward fashion. And we're 2, 3, 4 hours behind this thing. And I'm not paying attention. Hit the live button on the TV.
Oh, no.
And basically what it fast forwarded to was Schwartzel walking up 18 and showing the scoreboard where he birdied the last 3 holes, and he's got like a tap in on 18 for birdie. And my dad just lost his mind.
Knowing your father, I assume that was not.
And I just looked at him and I just said, whatever, it's my birthday, it doesn't matter. So, but I've learned my lesson. I don't want to watch it on delay. I just want to be part of it. So Sunday afternoon, no, we got nothing planned.
And Sunday, I wouldn't golf Sunday afternoon because I want to watch it also.
I've kid has soccer on Sunday afternoon. I'm not going.
All right. Well, I look forward to the rest of the week with you guys. It's like we started. If it's not the best week of the year or not the best sports week of the year, it's top 2. So enjoy yourselves. Find some time to take in all of the good content. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at RTG Podcast DFS, our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, and any major podcast platforms. We have episodes out for all the major tournaments this year. Next up, we'll have the PGA Championship in May. And good luck on all your Masters bets this week.
Guess what? We're winning a Calcutta bid right now.
All right, there we go.
Chris Kirk,
Vinny on.
Well, let's see what happens. See ya.